Hello, everyone. Ingrid here from No More Noise Toronto, and this is the summary of the Motor Vehicle Task Force meetings that we had earlier this week. So let's get into it. So, when we think of loud vehicles, there are a variety of categories that they fall into. First one is moving or stationary. So, stationary vehicle noise is enforced by the City of Toronto Municipal Licensing and Standards Noise Team. They cannot do anything regarding moving vehicle noise, though we are asked to call 311 at the City of Toronto to report all noise complaints. So that's basically a dead end. We can report it, but all it is a data point. The real enforcement comes through the police under the Highway Traffic Act. And so they are the ones that can stop a vehicle and can also issue um, tickets for an improper muffler. Then there are modified vehicles. So these have aftermarket mufflers that people either paid someone to put on or they did it themselves. And then there's OEM active exhaust. OEM stands for Original Equipment Manufacturer. And so this means stock equipment. And so these now, stock coming from the automotive manufacturer, these vehicles have buttons for different levels of sound from the exhaust system. And an example of that is the Mustang active exhaust. And I've got a little video there for you to see what that's all about. And the other way that vehicles become loud is simply lack of maintenance. So there's two ways that we're learning to tackle vehicle noise. Number one is through the vehicle itself as an object. So for example, the exhaust system, is it modified or does it have an active exhaust? And if the exhaust system, that comes under the Ontario Highway Traffic Act 75.1, which says you shall not modify your muffler and it shall be OEM or original equipment manufacturer standards. So then the other piece of that, of looking at the vehicle, is the actual safety of the vehicle and does it meet OEM standards? And that comes under the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Act, and that's under Transport Canada. And the applicable sections that we're looking at are sections 5, 7, 11, and 12. So that is looking at vehicle noise from the vehicle itself, whether it's moving or not. This is what the vehicle has. And then there's how the driver drives the vehicle. Are they revving? Are they stunt driving? Are they backfiring? And that all falls under the Highway Traffic Act. That's provincial legislation 75.4. And so in here, you can just see that I've got a little link to the Mustang video. Here is drive mode. You can see that they've got 5 different buttons for drive mode. And then there's 2 pictures here about what the valve looks like in quiet mode and in track mode. Valve is wide open in track mode, letting all emissions and all noise from the engine right out. So what Jeff has developed is a loud vehicle report. And so the purpose of this is to create a database of vehicles that are probably modified. And we create this database for vehicle licensing or registration organizations, or maybe even insurance, to check for reports of vehicles that might be modified or too loud. And then that way they can run a report. And before issuing a registration or a license or looking at a vehicle claim, they can go, oh, has this vehicle been reported as being too loud and possibly modified? And then that way they could bring it in for testing. Significant features of this app is that it's anonymous. There's no way this information can be traced back to you. No sign in, no login, no nothing. Also gives an approximate location. The closest location that you kind of have is within 100-meter square. You can submit with a photo or without the photo. Obviously, a photo is better. And this is infinitely scalable. And we can take this data to the police or to the city or to the province and show how bad of a problem it is. So there was a demo in the meeting, and you can click that link to watch it. So the timeline for this is that we are right now asking for your feedback. The app is live. You can submit reports, and if there's anything that you can see that would make it better, please go to our feedback form, which is all of will be on the website. I'll show you that in a second. And so we're doing this user functionality testing until June 6th. And then on June 26th, we want to launch it for the July long weekend. I'd love to have a contest of some sort, but I don't know how to do that without making up for bad data. So anybody has any ideas and more creative than I am, please let me know. info@nomoreNoiseToronto.com. And then summer 2025 is where we would like to have it available as a phone app, so where you can get it from Google Play or the iStore. But that's tentative. We're looking for volunteers to help us with that. And one of them is getting married soon. So that takes precedent. So we'd really like you to help us test this. Create a report using a picture with your phone or your computer. Create a report manually with your phone or with your computer. There's the link to the feedback form there, and you can join us on June 5th for a working group catch up where we can talk about your feedback and see what's possible and what's not. So remember, this is not about getting as many reports as possible. This is about your feedback on the app, but also logging proper vehicle reports. So when you are walking along and you take a picture of one, then you can submit it later on, or you can submit it right on your phone. But the other thing is that if you have one that bothers you in that lives close to your home, don't log 30 reports in 30 minutes. Do it whenever you hear the vehicle or once a day, and that will show up in the reports. So then we talked about actions that we can take to reduce vehicle noise. And one of the biggest things that people were talking about is that we need to get more people to know about us. And so that means talking to residents associations or community groups. If you're a part of either one of those, or if you're part of a special interest group, invite us to speak. Reach out at info@nomoreNoiseToronto.com and let's talk about when we can present to your group. Community events, it would be great to start to have some visibility there. I just don't know when they all are and where and all that stuff. So need your eyes and ears on that. The other thing is you can put up a poster. So on our website, we have the resources page, and I'm just going to quickly go to that. And here we've got print and post flyers. So we've developed flyers for all different kinds of different noise sources, and you can print them and post them. They go on 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper, and then that way you can help us do that. So the other thing that we can do is we have campaign software, and these we could run campaigns from the postal code all the way to across the country and into the US. So sometimes people wonder how can they make a difference? Well, let's utilize this tool where we can create custom email lists, and we can email your counselor, we can email the mayor, we can email special to people within the city, and ask for traffic calming in certain areas. We can look for quiet zones or residential streets, or maybe a change in the noise bylaw. We want to maybe have more the decibel levels lowered for motorcycles and for vehicles when with the stationary noise testing. So there's lots of things that we can do. And so let's organize and ask for those. The last thing is legal action. There's a lawyer who's reached out to us, and on June 9th, he is going to present his case for using small claims court to assist us in getting our cities quieter and specifically reducing all different kinds of noise, actually. So the next thing is that there's the Toronto Police Services and the city. So this is where we're told to call 311 for everything. So please log your moving vehicle reports there, even if it's just a data point, it matters. You can either call them or do this on their website, email your local counselor. The other things that you can do is contact Toronto Police Services. So make a driving complaint. This is a link to make a driving complaint. You will have to submit your address. You will have to give a description of the vehicle and hopefully the picture or a license plate. The police also has community partnerships and engagement units. They have consultative committees, such as the Neighborhood Community Officer Program and the Community Policing Liaison Committee. I'm curious if we can start to move up this ladder and see if there's a way that we can make noise that way. There's also a top-down way, which is through the corporate communications. And I'm going to try and get our communications group to start working on that and see what we can do to get their attention. And then there's the Toronto Police Services Board. And so that's who the Toronto Police Services reports to. And so we've got a number of friendly faces on that board. Councillor Shelley Carroll, Lily Chang, and Amber Morley are all supporters. And then there's the executive director. His name is Dr. Doobie Kenningisser, and he knows us. I actually had a phone conversation with him regarding noise cameras. And in the conversation, he basically said, he goes, yeah, I know vehicle noise is a problem, but I don't think we spend a lot of money on it. I said, no, you don't spend a lot of money on it. That's why it's a problem. So anyways, we need to become more present at these meetings. And there's a specific role that somebody can play that would really help with that. So then there's the province. And what we would like from the province is to increase fines in the Highway Traffic Act, and also to allow Toronto to do a noise camera pilot or area sound level monitoring. And so our streets are actually governed by the provincial government. So that's where we need to ask permission for this. So we can ask for that through a campaign. We can ask for that through emails. We can ask for that by talking to your local MPP. Um, and so that's how we can do that. But, is this going to be worth our time and effort right now? I'm not 100% sure because this government loves vehicles and they're even looking at changing the speed camera legislation. So I'm not sure that's the best investment of our time. Federally, I just, as this came up in my newsfeed yesterday, new driving laws in Canada in 2025. And this is coming up in July 1st, apparently. And it hasn't been officially announced, but there's new rules coming in. And though these rules aren't necessarily to do with noise, this is interesting because that means that there's a federal way that we could maybe even hop right over the provincial and make changes for vehicle noise. So what we need help with at No More Noise Toronto is getting more people to know about us, getting people to sign up for Noise News, and we don't need a lot of people to attend working groups. I don't think that, but we need a lot more general members. We need to understand the best method to get the attention of the police, our counselors. Like, what is the way that we can do that? Do people want a form letter that they can send to their counselors? How can we make that easier for people? And the police, does anybody have connections with police in their community policing office? I'd love to sit down with you and the officers and let's talk about vehicle noise. The other thing that would be really helpful is an agenda checker for the Toronto Police Service Board meetings. They have a meeting schedule, and a week before the meeting, the agenda comes out, and it would be great to have somebody to check the agenda and see if there's anything regarding noise, and then email me and let me know. I simply don't have the time to check it all the time. And the other thing that we are looking to have help with is understanding the Society of Automotive Engineers Standard J 1470, which is how vehicles are tested on the federal level. So we're trying to get a handle around that. So here is what we talked about. And I asked sort of what else can we do? What do we want to do? And people said, let's start logging vehicle reports. Okay, absolutely. Way we go. The other thing is getting the word out in all of those ways that we talked about before. So my proposal is that we really look at increasing our membership, put up posters, invite others, present to residents associations, community groups, etc. I'm very happy to present in person, online, depending on my availability. That would be great. Log vehicle reports. Let's create a buzz around this. This is a different way to tackle vehicle noise, and I think we can get some media attention and all that other stuff. But first of all, we need to get reports. And then it would be great to know who are the contacts at the province or federally who may be the ones to talk to about what about the data that the app is collecting. Let's start, seeing who is interested out there. Also, is there an insurance angle? I understand that insurance agencies have accredited or recommended vehicle shops. So maybe we start a list of vehicle shops that um, are doing modifications, and maybe the insurance agencies suddenly don't want to have them as an accredited shop. And the last thing is legally small claims court. So keep June 9th at 7 p.m. in your calendar, or visit the website nomorenoisetoronto.com/events, and you can register for that session. So please, it would be great. What you can do to help is put your hand up and do something. Let me know what your interest is. You could join this task force by completing this form. If you're not a member yet, please support us by keeping informed by signing up for Noise News. And as always, a tax-deductible donation is wonderful. We are funded and fueled by donations. So thank you so much. And I always wish you a great day. Let's create a better Toronto by reducing noise.